Welcome to the 618 podcast. This is Zack Weaver from Weaver Tree Service.
I'm Zack. Owner and operator of Weaver Tree Service, based out of Centralia, Illinois. We've done quite a bit in other areas, but that's where we're based out of. So.
Okay. All right. Well, what inspired you to start Weaver Tree Services, and how did it all begin?
I worked for my grandpa, Zackary. He owned a scrap yard my whole life. I was just kind of just tired of doing the scrap yard life my whole life. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple gentlemen that knew how to climb. They asked me to come haul some brush for them one day on a weekend, made some extra money, kind of seen how it worked out, seen what they made compared to what I was making out of junkyard.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's kind of interesting. Went back to work at the junkyard and went with them a couple more times and finally just started working along with them. Kind of with them, but then at the same time selling my own jobs. They taught me, how to knock doors at first. So it was a struggle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got to build that clientele and
stuff.
Yeah.
I was tired of working at the junkyard. Really, it wasn't the life that I wanted to do. It's just every day.
Yeah. Oh, I know about that junkyard life. I got a buddy that works at it. He's pretty much owner. His dad's the owner of J&L Auto Salvage and Pontoon, or Mitchell, Royal Pontoon. And I remember I grew up in the junkyard, dude. I mean, going through cars literally was one of my favorite things to do. Is just going through cars and like treasure hunting. You know what I'm saying? You never know what you'll find in a fucking car, bro.
You never know what you're gonna get in for the day and who you're gonna have to deal with.
Oh, dude.
The major problem. Who you had to deal with. I was the one that was having to buy and deal with the public. So
yeah.
Dealing with the public in the scrapyard service compared to the tree service. It's a whole different clientele.
Fuck yeah, bro, so dude. I bet.
I was definitely glad to be away from that.
Yeah.
And, that's really what inspired me, just to keep one foot in front of the other. And then my son being born, that really made me stop wanting to work with somebody and just do it myself.
Yeah.
So by then I had enough. I felt like I had enough.
Yeah, until the real world hit you.
Soon come to find out I didn't know really all that much.
Yeah.
The guys that I was working with had been doing it their whole life. They were, in their late 40s at the time, and I was just like 20 years old, So
yeah.
So that's it was definitely a weird start.
Yeah.
It was just kind of one foot in front of the other, and I didn't know that's what I wanted to do in life, but that's what I fell to love to do in life. So
fuck yeah.
It's definitely different.
Yeah. Did you grow up around this type of stuff, or was something you learned in life, basically? Did somebody teach you how to do the thing, or did you just...
No, not during I was a kid. It was always the junk life. Like I said, they brought me to their jobs, and then they taught me how much things went for, and I started knocking doors with them, and then I really hired them to start doing my job. So this is how much
that's funny.
I get out of this. Yeah. You said you'd work for this much a day, and that's what I needed, so let's go to work.
Yeah.
So, and it was just
very smart.
After that, I was just tired of relying on somebody, so I learned to save my money very quickly. I'd sell jobs and then they wouldn't want to go to work or something. They still had money from the days before and they didn't want to go to work. And I'm sitting here trying to, pay off a house.
Yeah.
I'm young, I've got to get after it right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's when I started buying the equipment. I started out because I didn't know how to exactly make the cuts in the sky. I started with a stump grinder. So I figured I'll keep my feet on the ground. I ain't gonna mess anything up. We'll start with this simple, and I'll still hire them, and we'll do the jobs when we can do the jobs. Even if they don't want to work, we'll figure it out. And it was a struggle at first, I will say. Definitely not being able to know everything. Now I feel like it's just another day in the office.
Right.
It's nothing to just go out and cut or grind or anything like that. So,
what are some of the biggest challenges you faced first launching your business?
I'd say the financials. The tree world's not cheap. It's not just going and I mean, nothing's cheap.
And you own all your stuff, don't you? Yeah. So you don't have to. So you don't like rent it like some people would go rent
I
stuff.
owned everything up until last year, and then I was like, I've been doing this for a while. I want something brand new.
Yeah.
And instead of used, so I don't have to work on it as much. And I made the leap and got a payment on a nice piece of equipment, but. I'm not a tax person according to the tax people. That
yeah, right.
That's also a kind of arm twister.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let me have a new Bobcat.
Yeah, right.
I got one. I want that new one with AC.
Right. Fuck yeah, dude. Straight up. I know, bro.
When it's 100 degrees out, I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, I'm running that. Yeah, exactly, dude.
That's
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
When I come down from the tree, don't expect
Shit. That's a luxury. Hey, that's the luxury of owning your own business. That's the thing. You can make those calls. That's why people all the time. I try to push that all the time, even on your like your kids and stuff. Man, do what you can to get your own money. Make your own shit. Like use your talent, whatever you're good at, and make it for yourself. Stop making these other people rich. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
that's one thing that Grandpa was always, always on when he ran his business, which I watched him run the junkyard. And at first he was buying all used stuff and making it happen.
Yeah.
He was always out there, and then towards the end he was starting to buy new things. And now that I'm being in business a lot longer, I'm seeing why.
Right.
First you got to start with what you got.
Right.
Some spare change. A couple parts.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Making two broken things happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
So
yep.
It's always something.
Yeah.
Definitely when it's.
So was it hard to build your clientele up? Was it like, what type of clients do you like?
Oh, yeah.
You've met you some of your troubles, like when you go to a job and you bid it or something, they try to play you on some stuff or not pay, or just some kind of hustle that you see on the videos sometimes.
When I first started, it was really hard to sell work. I mean, very, very hard to sell work. I'm young.
Yeah.
First off, I was like young 20s, trying to sell you something that could damage your home.
Yeah.
Something that you've worked your whole life for.
Yeah.
And you're looking at this young kid that's knocking on your door.
Yeah, dude.
There.
Yeah.
How hard that is to
man.
sell. And you're not asking for $20.
Yeah. No.
I'm trying to go get it something to eat. No, you're asking for what the tree job's worth. And the tree job's usually not $100.
No.
Thousands
or more. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Depending on the size and the location.
Right.
And everything that's involved. So it was very hard, but once I started getting my name around town and they were seeing us work, that's, when they see us work in the neighborhood and the neighbors sit out in the lawn chair and watch us all day, and then he tells the whole neighborhood how good of a job we did, and that's how I built my name slowly.
Yeah. See, that's why it's
mouth,
so crucial for your own work, man. It's how you really put that stamp of approval on it. It means more to, with my clients, people in this world, like if you're normal people, you're not, like your opinion don't matter. You mad at me don't matter. All this shit don't matter. But if you're a client and you're mad at me, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm coming back begging, please let me please. You know what I'm saying? Like dude, when it comes to the client, dude, like and when they talk good about you. It does. It makes you feel good.
Your customer,
exactly.
You don't have nothing,
exactly.
So make sure that they're
it's so important.
If not 110%.
110%. Yeah. It seems like it's at this place you get motherfucker 110. You're gonna have to. You're gonna get slaughtered. But you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. When one client's upset, you can make one client happy. But if you make one client upset, you lose 5 clients, pretty much. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You make 300 people happy, nobody will know except for 10 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
You make one person mad,
everyone's gonna know about it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You're messing around with people's yards. It's where they come home to. It's where they find peace.
My neighbor is a yard freak, and I
run into him all the time.
Dude, he is a very meticulous with his yard. And and he takes very good care of it. And sometimes because we have one of those little like sticky ball thingy tree, little sticky balls, whatever you call them.
Is it got golf balls on it? Or
it's like little like pokey things. You know what I'm saying? Little things that are brown. You pick up and throw them.
The gum balls.
Yeah, something like that.
Pain.
Dude, yeah, and they get in his yard. You can see him out there. He's out there sweeping them up in there, dude. And he's
every one of them.
Yeah, dude. And he just had a tree cut. You know what I'm saying? And that's I think I told you about a tree at our house, whatever. But he finally got that thing. That thing fell on my roof of my trailer. No bullshit, bro. This branch was probably, I would almost say, from the edge of that table right there to that wall. It was that long, and about this much of it was sticking through my roof, right next to my bed. When I come out of my door and I look up, there was a point of it this far away from my face as I walked around the wall. Like, dude,
I've seen some.
I had to take a picture of it, and this branch was like coming off my house, dude. It was like, it was huge, man. I couldn't believe it, man. So that's why it's really important for your kind of work, man, because it's not only it's dangerous, but you really are helping other people with those dead trees around there, man, and like during storms and stuff, you know. And
yeah, the storms get hectic. That's definitely a hectic time. No sleep, barely. Very minimal sleep, you know.
So with something like that, with it being so dangerous and like that, what kind of certificates or trainings do you get required to have?
So on requirement, you know, we're not really
maybe
required.
You or your business or something, but as far as
my guys, you know, I've been to a lot of the training and things like that, so I don't exactly require them to go get the certificate. I just teach them, you know, what I've learned and how to stay safe. Always doing the steel toe. OSHA approved steel toe and helmets. You know, first and foremost, I try not to hire anybody that don't have experience.
Yeah,
so,
right,
and
right.
I teach them my ways.
Right.
You know, so they're a little bit familiar with the scene. You know, I mean, it's tree work. It's like the #1 dangerous job in the world. So logging. So it's you definitely don't want somebody out there that you're trying to be in the air and teach somebody on the ground. It's not fun.
No. That's why you have to yell. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just used to yelling.
Those guys are good at raking.
You know? Which is an important job because we don't want to do it.
It's very important.
Yeah.
That's what gets. That's why we're
the cleanliness of the picking up.
How we leave with the job site. You know how it's still looking the way it was before, but without the tree.
Yeah.
So those guys really still play a big part in while they're training, learning the process and staying out of the way and just going getting gas and oil, putting new chains on, getting the next saw ready. Things like that gets them used to the field, but it takes a while. You know, it takes a long time. I got a lot of time wrapped up in my equipment where I'm just like, I'll run it. Just you clean up.
I've been on many jobs of people like that too, man. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't blame them.
It's hard to let somebody run some of those pieces of equipment without them watching for a while.
Right. So, well, can you walk us through a typical day on the job of you and your crew?
Typical day on a job. We all start at my office. Normally, I send out. We're all on Facebook Messenger, so they all have a job duty in the morning on what piece of equipment needs loaded. Most of them don't know what job we're doing. They just follow the list in the morning. I bring my kids to school, and by the time I get home, they're ready to rock and roll. So we all line up, follow out to the job. I show them. I go over with my main guy what the job consists of, and then I'll tell him what I need him getting ready, and then I start getting on cutting the tree. Normally we get the lift in there, and most of the jobs that we do are large tree removals. So getting the crane set in, that's a chore in itself.
I can imagine, especially with maybe during soft ground or some kind of unstable grounds or something.
Definitely when it comes to storm work, after it's just been raining, so many inches of water, and then you got a tree on a house behind the house. It's not off the front driveway.
Right.
And the house is 3 stories, so you got to go behind it. There's no other option. We've been buried.
Yeah.
We've got yard mats, but we went through a swampy area. Last one that we got buried was out in Odin area. It's been about a year ago, and I got behind the house just fine. We laid our mats out, which we kind of make our own roadway. It's some polycarbonate matting, some hard mats that we drive on. And we knew it was soupy, there's a couple of inches of water sitting there. I got behind the house just fine, got the crane set up, got the tree off the house, everything was good to go. I get most of my smaller equipment out, go to get the crane out, and it just sinks. The mat and all.
Oh my God.
The roads we laid out, the whole mat sunk. So it was it was a mess.
Do you have to come back with dirt and stuff and
yeah.
So I mean, you got to pretty much pad all.
I called a local tow company. They came out. It wasn't good the first night. It kind of buried my truck a little further because I was behind the house. So I mean, it was a pain a little bit to get it out. And the next morning they came out, got me out, but it took I think 2 dump truck loads to come back in there and re-level the whole ground and a couple bags of seed and
oh man,
so you know.
Oh man.
But the tree was off the house.
Do you take that in? Do you don't ever like because I'm surely you can't really anticipate something like that happen, but you kind of can. Do you ever put that in with your budget kind of thing? Is it more
so,
or does that come out of pocket, or how's that?
Yeah, it was out of pocket. But on a job like that, when somebody gets a tree on their house, you know, at that point in time, they're taking rainwater damage. They really don't.
Mm-hmm.
We try to protect the yard because first off, I can't just drive the crane without those mats.
Yeah, for sure. Because
I'll
mean,
make it 10 foot and be something.
Yeah,
I would never have got around there to get it off the house. So
yeah.
his more worries was, let's get the tree off the house. We can always fix the yard a lot easier. You know, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
A lot cheaper than rainwater damage inside your home.
That makes perfect sense.
So when it's scheduled work, no, I won't do that to anybody's yard. You know, we tell them, like right now, I'm in Beckmeyer, and it rained last week on our Friday. We normally work Monday through Friday. I called them. I said, we're just not going to be able to make it, you know, which it's part of it. It's part of it. It's seasonal, you know, and the seasonal, it's not fun. It don't make money.
Yeah, dude, I know.
On those days, it's all maintenance and all spending. So. But everything needs fixed, so you know, without that, we wouldn't do anything. So.
Right. What services do you offer that most people might not know tree companies provide?
Some of the services we just started doing garden tilling. Things we've got the skid steer. I bought an attachment to do tilling of gardens, which is kind of just like right at the start up of the season around this time, you know, where yards are still a little soft to get the crane in, but still good enough to till gardens. We do snow removal. You know, pretty much trees. Besides the little bit of snow removal and we're trying the tilling out, you know, and just make a little bit of time here and there when season starts to open up. Winter times, everybody thinks their trees just in winter mode. All of them look dead.
Yeah.
To normal homeowners.
Right. Yeah.
That's our downtime. You know?
Yeah.
When summer's everything's green, they look up there and they're like, "Oh, why is that one not having leaves?"
Right. Yeah.
Pretty common sense during the summer, but during winter,
Right.
everything looks fine.
Right.
So we unfortunately have to rely on saving our money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a seasonal job.
Yeah.
Which it is what it is, you know. We make it by.
Yeah.
A couple stumps here and there, a couple trees we'll do during the winter, but it's not a overtime job like we're starting.
Yeah, you might get lucky with a couple things here and there or so.
Enough to get by, you know, pay the bills and keep my money in the bank. Saved up,
Nice.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, winter time for tree guys isn't fun.
How do you assess whether a tree needs to be trimmed, saved, or removed completely?
On that, you know, it just depends. When I go in there and look at the tree, there's a lot of different signs in it. If you've got, you know, if it's a lot of what we do is pin oak. They've got the gall disease. A lot of people say it's from a wasp, but you know, to be honest, I don't see many wasps in the 10 years of cutting trees. It's very weird to me.
Yeah, wow.
I've asked a lot of the guys that's been in business, what can we do to help these trees survive? And nobody has an answer really, besides like injections, which is.
I want to talk to my buddy Chuck. He's a tree service guy too, and he's like a tree guru. Like he knows everything about trees. Like, you know what I mean?
So to do the injection, you gotta it's a lot of money first off, and at the point of Southern Illinois, they rather just get it out of there.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, is this going to work or is this not? And then I'm going to have to spend the same amount of money again to get it removed. So why am I two-timing the money when I can just remove it?
Right.
So we don't really offer anything as far as like a fertilizer or anything to help the trees, because I don't know on the pin oak, and that's mostly our issue around here, you know. So any others like trimming, like Bradford pears, things like that, Really, we just go off the size of the tree, how much overgrowth it's got. We do a lot of thinning. Topping the trees isn't really the healthiest thing for them. So just thinning them out is more healthy than topping them off. Kind of got to think of it. And the time of the year. When the sap's down, so like I said, normally our summers are our busiest time, and we're doing completely dead tree removals. Trimming's more for winter when the sap's down in the tree. So that way the tree doesn't lose all of its sap, which is kind of like human blood to us. So it needs that to survive and make new starts. So you wait until the winter when all the leaves fall, all the sap goes down in the tree, and preserves everything that it needs to survive. You know? So it's really, we do selective branch removal. A lot of homeowners either want the whole tree removed, or they want the branches going over their house or over their structures, things like that. Now when we get down into Florida, after hurricane work starts to slow down, things like that, that's when I do most of the trimming.
You go out to Florida?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Florida's it's been, I think, 2 years in a row now. Going down there doing hurricane work. So
tell us a little bit about that. Tell out there in Florida, like what kind of
that's an adventure.
Yeah, right there. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, tell us some crazy stuff or some fun things.
So hurricane work. Just getting to hurricane work.
Just getting to hurricane work. That's where the fun starts, dude.
Yes. So it'll bring you through a mental. I've got a lot of money on the road. A lot of drivers trying to stay in communication. If anything happens, is pop tires, things like that. It's just getting down there is expensive. I think that I spent probably, rough guesstimate, probably $5,000-$6,000 to get down there. Just in between the blowout tires, fuel, and we sleep in truck parking lots on the way down. I bring an RV, so at least we're in something decent. Right. Sleeping in the truck. But
there you go.
The first year I went down there, I didn't bring an RV. So this time I did. So the first time was definitely parking lot, sleeping in the cabs, very, very minimal sleep. I've gone to 2 different hurricanes now, and I've gone to 2 different approaches. First time I went down there, I went to my old school ways, how I was taught, just door knocking. And the second time I went down there, I partnered up with a buddy I hung around here in high school that opened a tree business down in Florida. And I went and partnered up with him because he was established. It just, so it was 2 different ways of going about it. And really, it's the most stressful thing was still going down there not knowing. The hurricane's still in the ocean. You're packed up with $500,000 headed down the road, of equipment on the road, and you're just hoping that you make it. And once you make it, you're like, well, I just spent $5,000-$6,000 to get here. I hope I sell a job.
Oh my God.
And not only that, but on your way down there, did I grab diesel at the right moment? Because when you get down there, I've had guys wait like 7-8 hours for diesel, and then get up there and the diesel be out.
Oh man.
So that was a learning curve the first time. So on your way down, you want to make sure you're grabbing diesel right before you get down there, because it's ran out once you get down there, and the lines are for days long. I've never seen nothing like it.
Wow.
When we get tornadoes and stuff around here, people are like, oh no, when you go down into a hurricane, it's a third country world almost. It's like there's no cell phone service, so wherever you're going, you have to stay in line, because you could send the address and nobody can get there.
Oh man.
So it's
wow,
for the first 2-3 days. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's weird. It's weird to learn how to even live in that scenario, let alone work.
Yeah.
So there's no food, there's no running water, there's no power. So even if a hotel will sell you a room, you're still taking a cold shower.
Damn.
If there's water, running there. The second time we come rolling into town, where I needed to go at like 2 o'clock in the morning because of breakdowns, going down 5% grade, smoking tires on the crane. I mean, it's just one thing after another on the road, you know.
Wow.
It's a battle getting down there. I'm going through a lot of tires and a lot of gas. Going down this time, my main truck that I use for a sales truck, and it's my personal truck in a way, it overheated, wouldn't stop overheating, so I was able to like do a 30-minute travel and have to stop and let it cool down.
Dude.
I mean, I was pulling a load that was a little bit heavy on the truck for that far of a distance, you know, so it's my fault in that sense. But you know, when you hear, you know, I only go to the hurricanes it's met a certain category, you know. If it's just a smaller one, we don't really deploy out on those. Once it hits, you know, the bigger categories, then we'll go. And we really, it's a gamble. Like I said, you're spending all this money to get down there, but we've been successful, and we've also been not so successful on trips.
Really?
You know,
For you break even or something, or just more or less?
You come back with a payment.
Ah, man. Damn.
Yeah. So I went down there, like I said, this time,
man.
and my truck overheated. And, well, the only way to get everything back was, because my grandpa, thank goodness, he is the mechanic specialist whiz he is, because when it comes time to crazy things that I can't fix, I mean, he's 5 minutes. He knows what's wrong with it. It just clicks with him. He's smart with stuff like that. So once I got it back home, I knew it'd be all right.
Yeah.
But getting everything from down there to back home when my main truck just shot out on me, you know, so I had to go buy a truck. And came home with a payment on that as well. So, but there, like I said, once again, you know, buy new stuff and it helps out on the taxes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
It'll hopefully pay for itself.
Yeah, right.
Which it is a lot bigger of a truck, so I was needing something newer really soon. So, but I didn't need my other truck overheating. You know, not in the scenario that it left me, because I had to make 2 trips just to get all my stuff back, because I had to carry the trailer back once with my equipment that truck brought down there, empty it at home, return back around and go load up that truck on the trailer and bring it home. So I had mechanics down there look at it. I spent, I don't know, 6 weeks waiting on this mechanic to fix it. And I don't know, $1,000 or something like that. He was waiting on parts or something. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. I was trying to stay working, trying not to think about that truck.
Yeah, you know? Bro.
It really left me in a spot, because, I mean, I'm down a truck, you know, that I got a trailer with all the equipment, so I was double taking to every job. And, yeah, it's stressful already when you're down there, because it's long hours. Hurricane work's it's not short hours. It's until you're dead tired. You know, because
like
there's
struggling
so
to live,
much of it.
Wow.
There's so much work down there. It's like I said, it's third country world. This time we rolled into town, like I said, like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I thought it was just regular water going across the road. We pulled through it. That was sewer. Oh, man. So the first day we showed up this time, we woke up the next morning and all of our equipment to go to work in the morning was
shitty.
To say the least.
Man. Damn.
It was horrible. And yeah. It's not the funnest. You pack whatever you pack, you're eating, and then you're dealing with sewer, you know. And
is there any looters and things like that? You ever had any?
You know, I've been lucky where we've always staged our equipment. We were able to sleep there. So I haven't had to exactly worry about that. I'm sure it's going on though. This world's corrupt. So.
Yeah. Or they do it locally somewhere somehow.
Yeah. So.
Shit.
I've been lucky on that part. You know, it's just I guess really staying with the equipment's probably saved me. Really, so if I were to leave it with no power on in the whole city, I probably wouldn't have much to come back with.
Yeah.
So.
Shit.
Yeah, definitely in some of the areas that we've been in, and you know, worked along with some of the other guys. So.
Mm-hmm. What's your process when responding to a storm drain or storm damage or emergency tree removal?
What's
your process
So
when responding to one?
my guys are always on call. We are 24/7, 365 service. So they call me at 2:00 in the morning. We're deploying.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process though, because I don't really. First off, the tree's not standing. 9 out of 10 times it's on a customer's house, and 10 out of 10 times on a customer's house. They don't call you an emergency.
Yeah, right.
On their house.
Right.
So right there is you got an issue. So I need to find out if this is going to be crane accessible, things like that. Normally, I'll try to get them to send me a couple pictures of the job. The customer will call me. I've had them call me at 1:00 in the morning, and it's time to go. You know, so I try to get them to send me some pictures. Their address, because then I can pull it up on Google Maps, an overview of the satellite, and kind of see, well, he took the picture, he told me it's on the south side of the building. I see the driveway here. I'm going to have so much yard mats to get me back there, because it's obviously just been raining 9 out of 10 times. And most of the time we can do the job. It's just the equipment that we can use to do the job always differs, you know. So normally they'll call, send the pictures, the address, I'll look it up, and I'll start heading to their place as I get a hold of my guys and make sure that they're awake and let them know that there is a potential on-call, and they need to get all their boots ready and everything like that. I'll go to the customer's house, I'll see what equipment I need, go over our contracts with them, then I'll call the guys. They usually beat me to the shop. They've got the trucks running. By the time I get back, I hop in a truck that they've got ready for me, and we head straight there. And we don't stop until it's done.
Hell yeah.
You know? So it's, you know, you can rely on us for sure.
Yeah.
We will show up, you know, where most people aren't even going to answer a phone at 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, definitely they run a business.
I can't imagine, bro.
I mean, I couldn't imagine a tow service. I only couple, you know, like in the middle of the night. You know, I don't feel that bad. I feel obligated to answer that phone.
Right.
You know, when you call around at 1 in the morning and ask for a tow, you're like, all right, that's why I didn't answer.
Yeah, right.
But when you offer that 24/7 as a tree service, they really depend on that.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah. Are a lot of other is that a 24-hour service kind of thing a lot of times, or that is it you know?
Is every time I show up. Definitely towards the later hours of night, I'm always told that I'm the only one that'll answer the phone. Most people tell them they can't come for a week. You know, we are scheduled out normally a month right now. So in the winters, it's not so busy, but right now when it's picking up, we're booked out. So we have emergency rates, which is a little bit more expensive. But we're able to come right then and there, and you're able to cut the line. I'm able to.
That's worth paying for.
Yeah.
You know.
Well.
Extra money for. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of, you know, when I charge more for it, you got to think. I've worked my guys full time all week. Now they're going to be in overtime because I've already got people scheduled out that I talked to 3-4 weeks ago that's been waiting a month. Yeah. You know. And
they get theirs first. They want to get theirs. You know. Yeah. I get it.
So. I pay my guys extra during those times because first off, it's hazard pay. It's dangerous work. Trees on houses aren't like trees that are growing in the ground. Shift at any moment.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I'm so. I don't know if you want to call it anal.
Right. Yeah.
When it comes to the trees on the house compared to a tree standing. You know, a tree standing's. I mean, it's like. Walk through the park.
Right.
But when it comes to that, I need everybody to focus and do their job and stay completely focused on what I need them to do. Because every 10, 20 minutes, we're repositioning to make sure that we're making even cuts on the tree that's on the house so it doesn't twist or spin. There's just a lot that goes into it. I've followed along with some of the guys that travel like every state. You know, normally we just go down to Florida and watched how they do tree removal, and it's a learning curve. You know, when you first get into it, and I'm just glad that I learned from the right people. You know, so we haven't damaged anything, had anything shift, damage anybody's home more than what the tree had already done.
Yeah.
So that's our number one goal, you know.
That's pretty impressive, though.
Yeah.
To clean up damage that's already damaged something, clean up a mess, and make it look like you never even came there.
So especially when a tree comes, you know, down onto the house, you know, it hits straight and then kind of rolls and shifts down underneath it. So now you got to come up at an angle and then straight up, because that's the way it came in. It's got to come out the same way.
Wow,
so if it twisted as it was hitting the house, it needs to twist as you lift it up with the crane. So it's all about where you rig everything. We like to support the tree with skid steers to make sure at the base it doesn't shift and move. I mean, there's a lot that goes into a tree on a house.
It seems like there's a lot of meticulous mathematics to it that has to be perfect. Because
as a tree guy, I've always tell everybody, mathematics, we've got a weird calculator. It's not.
Yeah.
It's at this angle, at this many RPMs.
Right.
So it's a mad science. But after a while, you get used to it. You know.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's it's definitely different. And the trees on houses, I enjoy doing that though more than a tree that's standing in a yard, because of the. You know, a tree in the yard, you're just a tree service to the homeowner. A tree on a house, you're a savior for the night. They can go to sleep. You know, you can't go to sleep. Trusses ain't rated for trees.
Right.
You know?
No shit.
So to sleep underneath that roof is probably, I mean, I'm a tree guy. Thank God I've never been in that scenario, but I don't think I'd sleep well under it.
No.
So we're, you know, being there and being like a first responder, like when you go down to hurricane work, you're kind of the first people in there. I mean, the trees are crossing the roads. A lot of times we got to cut stuff out of the way to even get in, you know.
Yeah.
So that's some of the fun of the job. It's always an adventure.
It keeps you brainstorming, keeps you thinking.
Yeah, because you're headed to one spot and you got a tree down in the road, so now you're spending 2 hours just to get there.
Wow.
Oh
man.
It's like flooded roads, so now you got to turn around. And you're turning a crane around on a 2-lane.
Lord. Oh man, bro.
So
man.
It's an adventure. I like it.
It's kind of like the ice road truckers kind of thing, you know. It's just,
that's.
I mean, you're still good. It keeps you on your toes the whole time, and keeps you.
I couldn't imagine that.
I couldn't either. But some of the mountains they're on, dude. Oh my god.
No way. I don't feel good going through the mountains going down to Florida, let alone on ice.
Yeah, dude. Holy shit.
That's kind of how it felt this time. We blew a tire out going down the mountain in Tennessee. Blew it rear tire on our crane going down a 5% grade, and that was scary. It was like ice skating.
Yeah.
You know, the rear end started swaying, and it was not a fun trip down there this time. It never is a fun trip down there.
Man,
but
smoking cigarette after cigarette after cigarette, just being
just
fucking driving, dude. Yeah, dude.
By the time I'm down there, I'm like packing a lunch.
Yeah.
Working 18-hour days.
Shit.
It's like, you know.
Damn. So have you built? We know you went to Florida and all that kind of stuff. But have you built all your clientele in Irvington and the surrounding areas? Like, how have you built a customer base in Irvington?
So building my customer base, it's mostly Centralia, which but building it was a lot of word of mouth. Like it's getting in that neighborhood, them seeing me work. I have done the advertisement quite a bit, like some yard signs, things like that. But really, the word of mouth.
Do you have competitors too out there? Like in that area?
Man.
Oh
competitors. That's a whole different story, because when you're in the tree world, it's not like it's a different industry. You can go right to your local farm store for $200 and buy a saw and call yourself a tree service. I mean, you can do a lot of trees with just having a saw. You know. So there's the competition, you know, and it's hard to compete against guys that just have a chainsaw because we have workman's comp, we have insurance, we've got, you know, all these different legal things to make us a legal business, and you're fighting against somebody that's not.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, you gotta understand it's a tattoo.
100%. No, I definitely, dude, more than ever, I do.
Amazon, baby.
Amazon.
They're like
and
$100. I can
look,
all tatted.
bro, I've seen it. I see people that are happy with that shit work too.
Oh, I know.
You know, and then they're not. Then when they see somebody that can do it good, then they're not happy with the work, but they don't want to pay to get, you know, the good work.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's
the same thing in our industry.
Yeah, man.
It's the same thing. So, I mean, I've been called in on trees that's been already hacked on, like it's just standing on a splinter, you know. They've done notched it and made a back cut, and it was starting to go the opposite way, and they undid their chainsaw from the bar because it pinched on the bar on the back cut. It pinched on the bar, and they just ran off, took their saw, the engine
Lord
off the saw,
have mercy.
left the bar in the tree, and I had to come back and, you know, go up, put a rope in, because they thought they were just going to notch it and send it and drop it without a rope in it, and it had a little bit too much weight on the backside and pinched their bar, and he just took his engine off, left the bar, which, you know, I don't know what he was thinking when he started cutting that without a rope in it. It's a pretty bad lean.
Oh, man.
You know, it's just, that's what I deal with, though, you know, and so the competition's out there. It's all about the customer's preference. You know, if they want a good job done, and if they want to keep their property, you know, what they've worked their whole life for, and the condition that the tree service came in at, or do they want to save some money and possibly risk what they've worked their whole life for?
Right.
So that's on you.
Right.
You know,
and everybody tells a good story.
You
yeah.
live with it for the
that's
rest of
right.
your life.
Yep. And any person could tell a good story. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing too. You know.
And that was the thing when I was starting out. Like I said, it was hard to sell work. You know, being young and. You know, so now that
do you ever have a portfolio to show your customers what you do, kind of, sort of,
now
or
I do.
something? You know,
now I do. But when I first started out, I didn't. So now every time I go to a job, I've got a flyer. It kind of shows a little bit of our equipment. I am still younger, the younger age for my industry compared to the other legal business owners in this industry around here. I'm probably definitely on the younger side of it, you know. Most of them have been around here quite a while, been doing the tree work. So we do it a little different, though, you know. I feel like than some of those guys. So
that's good.
I like changing up the scene of how things are done. You know, try to bring the new era in. You know, this is how I just feel like some of our ways are safer than some of the old school ways that I've seen. So. Not hating on any of them. They all do really good work. You know, the older generation that's got the businesses and are legal, but, you know, I like our ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So.
Yeah. That's right. Everyone likes their own way for sure, you know.
I feel safe, and that's the way I learned, and it goes smooth that way. So but yeah, coming in with the competition still, it's hard to compete with guys that don't have any outs.
And that's it.
And $4 worth of 2-cycle.
Yeah, right. No. Not even an axe.
And they, you know, it's so it's definitely just depends on the customer. You know what they really want. It's
well, at least they know when they do take your service, they know they're getting good quality, efficient. You know. Very good service, you know. We 24-hour service at that.
We definitely have a lot of reviews online, so to back us up, that's kind of how the word of mouth works nowadays.
That's very important.
So everybody can get online and check out our reviews. Facebook started doing the 30-day delete on the live videos. So I used to tell customers, you can get on my, you know, Facebook, and there's all kinds of jobs, you know. But now they're starting to delete them at 30 days. So you can see what I've done in the last 30 days. So I think I'm going to switch that around and start doing just regular videos so it saves, so they can still go back. I've built a Facebook page where they can kind of see some of our work. But, I mean, we've worked for city schools. We've worked for Department of Natural Resources doing ash tree removal from the ash borers. So we've been recognized, for the work that we do to come into a city and be like, all right, we're going to do this whole city. And we're going to take out all the ash trees for the whole town, And so it takes a lot of board members, to really look at you and see what kind of, I mean, we've been over the last, I'd say 2 years, really became our most trusted years. We've became in quality.
I've noticed that too. I've seen your lives and I've seen videos and things like that, and can tell that
it's
you're doing bigger and better things for sure.
It's definitely about the cleanliness of the job, the safety and cleanliness of the job. A customer sees a branch come flying down, smacks the tree, and guy goes sliding across the yard holding the rope that was connected to it. They're like,
yeah.
And then they see a crane that just piece and lowers
calmly
it
sits it down. Yeah.
And they're like,
Are they leaving? Then they leave at chaos. They come back and it's all clean. You're just like, oh, nice. Yeah, dude.
So our process, I feel like, is pretty quick and efficient as well. I'm huge about efficiency.
It has to make sense like that.
I'm starting to get annoyed.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get annoyed quick.
Yeah.
Because, the equipment and the money that I've worked for, all the money I worked for, I pour it right back in the business.
Yeah. It's a very calculated business too at that.
I've got to do that poor calculation sometimes.
Yeah.
When it's time to buy, but
well, just on the whole scenario, like the whole business and the action out there, everything is very calculated almost, and
it's different for sure. I don't even know where to start on my financial thoughts on when to buy things.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably it's probably gonna be a long learning curve there.
For all of us, nobody really.
You really do have to have like two of everything. Yeah.
You're like, what's really gonna benefit and make that productivity worth this next chunk of money that I've saved up?
Right. How can it pay for itself?
That's definitely the first thing I look for is like, is this gonna pay for
Yes.
itself?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Definitely in the equipment world, you want to make sure you're buying the right thing.
Yeah.
Because it gets expensive. As you know with all this.
Yeah. Everything you do, man, you gotta, as they say, you gotta have money to make money. And that is the truth. I mean, it may take a little, but I mean, nonetheless, you gotta have a little bit of money to make money.
Well,
and
the grandpa always said, you spend a little bit of money, you'll make a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of money, you'll make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or you make a lot of money, you spend a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
And that's how I feel. The savings is still just buying me equipment.
Yeah.
And I love it. So
man, and that's
I got 3 boys to leave it to.
Exactly.
So that's what the goal
and that's the thing, man, is putting your money back into your business, where I see a lot of people will just run with what they got, and they just stay in this one little like stagnant category, and then you got the next guy that was with you right along, and now he's up ahead of you because he's got something cool or something that works and more efficient,
There's definitely a lot of learning curves into how to be a better tree service, and I learned that, starting out being the cheap guy, just to get my name out there. But at the same time, I didn't start with a crane. Those logs were slamming against the ground, and we were swinging things on ropes, and I was lucky enough to have the guys that had the knowledge to make sure that we never damaged anything so I learned how to do it the old school way, but then I was like, that's not really what customers like seeing.
Right.
So I need to start doing the research. And that's when I started getting online, really, and start researching other bigger tree services that are doing the $1 million plus a year. Yeah. And seeing, well, why are they being able to be so trusted and doing such big jobs and such big projects? And that's when I seen the crane. Mm-hmm. And I love it.
Yeah, bro.
I love it.
I bet.
At first, it's a huge learning curve on that. I mean, you set your straps in the wrong way, that limb's just gonna flip over and peel your head off your shoulders. So there's a lot of learning, a lot of slow days, learning. Small cuts. Now it's like we have all communication helmets, so I'm on the communication. I ask my crane operator, what are you good for? You know, 'cause he's got a computer and he'll tell me you can take this much weight, and you know, by now I know if the tree's dead or alive about how much weight, you know, water weight and things like that. It's in the pick, and I'm like, all right, well, we're going for about 70% of that. You know, whatever you're good for, I'm going for 70%. Right. Before I was like, let's stay under 50. Yeah. Until I learned it. So now it's big sections coming out, and I don't know, when you lift a huge section of a tree out, definitely off of that's leaning over a homeowner's house, you know, a tree comes up, goes this way, it's over a homeowner's house. They see that huge section come off, and they're just like, you just see it. They walk inside. They're done for watching.
Yeah, you know? Right.
they're in there, like, you know, it's a lot better and it's safer. You know. Yeah. It's the new ways. Which there's newer ways coming out, and we're chasing the dream of new toys, but the new toys are big price tags. The new crane that I'd like to get's around $700,000. So it's not a quick process to get to that point. Shit. And people wonder why tree work's so expensive. You know,
safety pays for itself, though. I mean,
you know, it's like $750,000. There it goes. You know, so making calls on purchases like that's where I really want it, but can I afford to spend all of my money at one time? It's right. And I'm nowhere close to being able to buy that purchase, but, you know, the small steps to get up to that, you know. So I feel like we're finally at a point where we have every piece of equipment that the very successful tree services have, you know, and had to be successful. So now I've got the chippers, the stump grinders, the trailers to haul it. We just got a grapple truck for debris hauling. So, the crane, the lift is new. You know, it's top of the line. We're able to fit through 32-inch gates and lift up to the 83 feet. So dang. I tell a lot of people we can pretty much fit through your front door and lift up to the 8th floor. Nice. Like, whoa. You know,
yeah. So fuck.
That's just like some of like the upgrades compared to like the old school. You know, getting the big bucket truck through there. You know, into the backyard. Unless you're pulling down the fence, you're not getting it back there. You know. We just open up the man gate and pull our equipment in. Wow. So, which that comes with a price tag. I mean, that stuff I could go out and get me a bucket truck for, I did have a bucket truck. I had 2 of them. That's what I started with. And then I bought this and I'll never go back. I can get a bucket truck for a nice one. I could probably get for $30,000. It'll last me a good couple years, you know. But Spider Lift, it's $180,000 new. So... You know, I'm hoping that it lasts. I've had it for 3 years now. So I'm hoping that I get a good while out of it. It seems to be a really good piece of equipment, and it gives us access to a lot of jobs that other people can't do without causing harm to the, you know, like taking the fence up. Not causing harm, but you know, causing extra work.
Extra work
and really a lot of people don't want to pull their fence up.
Yeah.
You know?
No, right. I don't blame them.
They just want the tree down.
Yeah, I know. Right.
You know, so
right.
Last thing they're thinking of is now I got to hire 2 people. To get this tree down. I got to hire a fence company and a tree guy. So, yeah, because
I'll just call Rick down the street then and fucking have him come down and fucking cut it down.
But some customers are fine with doing that. You know, they don't want the tree to hit their house. They will just go out there and take it down. But then you got the other ones. You know, they want somebody to come in and professionally take it down and put it back up. So, which I understand.
Yeah.
You know?
Might never be that person. Guarantee that shit.
When we work for our, you know, that way, you know.
That's what $1 million are at, though. You know what I mean?
I don't blame them, though. That's
those people who care.
For their whole life, and that's the way they want it, live and spend their money. And I want to protect it, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm proud of where I live.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Worked hard to get there.
Damn right. You damn right.
So.
How has the tree service industry changed over the years you've been in business?
So it's changed a lot, dramatically, really. So when I first got in, it was a lot of roping, you know. Now I'm using a stick crane, which a lot of people don't know, but it just extends straight out. It's a lot of what you see on construction sites and things like that. But now the industry is coming with knuckle boom cranes. So it's kind of got like an elbow in it. It's so it's able to reach in weird spots. It's got a grapple on the end. It grabs a hold of the limb, saws it off. But
Yeah, well, I think I've seen that.
but like I said, that's my $700,000 truck. So it's is it necessary? No. Is it safer? Probably yes, because you don't have to have a guy in the air. But can anybody in Southern Illinois afford to foot the bill to be able to make monthly payment on that, to be able to charge a fair rate? To charge a fair rate here, I'm using my old equipment.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
or you're not getting the job.
Right.
So is that purchase worth it in our area? You know, that's the hard one. You know?
But if our area was a lot more prone to disasters, I think, you know, or things like that, maybe it would be a little more,
like down in Florida.
Yeah, right.
Know, where hurricane work is a lot more, you know.
Or more houses inside a forest or something like that, or, you know.
Yep. Definitely. Like, I don't think that our area really needs that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could use it here and there. But are you going to be able to make that make sense when it comes to paying for it? That's where I struggle to. It's a dream. I want one. You know, I want one bad, but I'd love to play with one all year. You know? But,
that would be cool.
I just feel like we're very productive with the way we do things and the safety of just the knowledge, how long I've been doing it. It just goes so smooth now that I don't have to worry about me being up in the air, where with that new saw, you don't have to worry, or that new crane, you don't have to worry about somebody being in the air and making the cut because it's got the saw on it. So now everything just kind of just sits there until I move away. The cut's been completely cut through, and the log will just sit there. Even if it's a branch going out, it just stays steady until I move the lift away, and then I tell my crane operator, go ahead and move it if I feel like it's going to do any type of shifting. So by now, I know when to go. It's time to get away from this log and things like that. But it's pretty smooth operation now. I like using the crane a lot, you know. We'll rope some jobs if we have to, but I like figuring it out to get the equipment in there to make it. Oh, yeah. You know, I like doing the crane jobs.
Yeah. What's one of the craziest and most memorable jobs you've ever taken?
Craziest job I've ever taken? Probably would be, if it weren't for getting to Florida, that part makes it
the crazy part, yeah.
But actually,
the most memorable
the
one.
The craziest tree job would be, I don't know, 2.5 years ago, I had a pin oak on a house here in Centralia. And it was one of the very first ones that was like through the roof, wasn't just on the house. So like pulling things, like I said, out of the roof was, making sure that it was pulled out at the right angle was just, it took me a little longer than it will now. And it was a huge tree. So it was on a house, you know, and I don't know, that was probably the craziest job, just because it was all a learning curve as far as going through the trusses and things like that, you know. And I watched enough people do it that it came out smooth, you know. But your first time in there, you know, you're like making sure you did A, B, C, D in row, you know, because like you guys, you start out with a line or something, you know, or an image in your brain at least. You know, you got to have that image of what it is supposed to do or look like at the end, you know. You want to make sure you go back over what you're thinking, because this could end someone's house. And doing pin oaks on houses are always the most memorable, you know, because they come down hard. I just seen one in Centralia this week. I was thinking it was probably 60,000 pounds on the homeowner's house. I mean, it's a huge tree.
God damn.
So it's the trees on houses are always the memorable ones. Just because, like I said, when you get done with them, the homeowner is so great. You're not just a tree service.
Yeah.
You are their savior. They're going to be able to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
Sleep means a lot
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
So,
For sure.
I like doing those jobs and seeing the kids smile. That's a big thing, because definitely down in Florida, they've ran away. A lot of the people, they're gone. They're went north to get a hotel room or something, and they come home and they see that, and then their kids and everybody's staying up at the hotel until they get it fixed, and they don't want to be there. Who wants to live in the hotel?
Right.
Ain't
no shit.
With a tree on it.
Right.
When it's going to settle through the rest of your house. You don't want to sit at a hotel thinking, is the roof still holding it?
For real.
Or is the floor holding it?
Man.
It's seeing the kids, come back home and the families feel that relief. That's the memorable job. Doing the everyday tree work, it's just everyday work.
You're just plucking out a weed in another person's backyard kind of thing.
Yep, just checking your mail.
Yeah.
So when you do the trees on houses, though, it's I don't know. It makes me feel really good, for the service that we provide and being able to allow the homeowner back into their home without worrying about any other damages. And being able to get them in there as quick as we can. So, yeah, those are the memorable ones. I like seeing the families reunite and smile again.
Yeah.
Because that's the first smile they've seen or had since the trees hit the house. It's been, what's going to happen to us now, is we're going to be without a home. So I've seen some that just completely take the whole house out. And what do you do,
Yeah.
So
And the faster that tree gets off there, the faster they can figure out how to build that thing back or whatever, That's
that's why we offer the 24/7 service. We like to be able to get them there as quick as we can, immediate response, get there as soon as we can, because otherwise they're without anything. So
yeah, it ain't no shit. What do you wish more customers understood about tree care and maintenance?
Maintenance eats all my money. I wish they understood that. This guy's not going home with a pocket full of money. This guy's going home with parts.
All right, so what advice would you give to someone looking to start a business in the hands-on field like this?
In the tree industry, the first advice that I have, if you're trying to start out and you have no knowledge, is to go get a job with somebody first. Go learn the trade first.
Put the chainsaw down and go get some real training.
Right, yes. Get some mentorship. Get under somebody that knows what they're doing. Once you get the training, advice I would say is just save your money for winter. Because it's gonna get rough. I've been doing this for a while, and winter still ain't fun. So just reinvest, because the equipment in our industry is just getting better by the day. So like our chipper, for example, it's newer. It's got safety features, So if anybody were to accidentally get in the mouth of the chipper, it stops feeding. Some of the chippers that I started with were considered chuck and duck. Yeah. You chuck the limb in there and you duck because it's just ripping through. So these self-feed, we can set the speed. I'd say reinvest into safety. Safety and productivity. Safety being first. First piece of equipment I would buy, besides like your essentials, like your saw and your rope, would be communication helmets. Being able to talk without having to yell and somebody having a miscommunication. because a no and a go
Yeah.
can really end your
Dude.
life.
Yeah. Oh man, when I hear mom, I think people call me Tom. I'm like, what? They're like, I'm talking to mom. I'm like, oh fuck. So I get it. I'd be the one to kill us all, dude. In that situation.
So yeah, you know, like when you're pulling a tree over and the guy that's pulling on the rope and the skid steer, and he says, "Good to go," and you're like, "No," and you don't want to scream that. Like, I want to talk to you just like this, and even if I'm 100 foot in the air, I can talk to you just like this with those communications. So that's the number one safety right there, is clear communication and something over your noggin.
Yeah.
You know,
it's luxurious too, man. Like, you know, you have a little thing in your ear, you know, and you just talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it changed my job sites. That was my biggest, smartest, and it wasn't that expensive. I mean, they are expensive, don't get me wrong, but compared to some of the other equipment, like a crane, it's a helmet, which they are like, I don't know, once they got the communication, they're like $700 a helmet. So, yeah, like I said, tree work is not cheap. Wow. So you got each guy walking around with a $600-700 helmet on, you know, and it's but like I said, that's where I would start, is mentorship and communication helmet. That way you know what you're doing and you've got clear communications. I mean, make sure that you are able to learn tomorrow. Yeah. So the more you learn, the better off you are. Other than that, save your money. Save your money, and then buy the piece of equipment, because I don't like payments. Oh man,
and interest rates.
Yeah, interest.
Save up your money until you can afford
payments
it.
would be fine if we didn't have interest rates.
But then, you know, you save money on depreciation, whatever the tax ladies say, and it's like, well, I guess it adds up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to the numbers. Jamie does all that. I go to work.
Yeah, right.
She tells me, she's, you know, hey, you need to get to work. So.
You're broke. No.
Yeah.
How do you balance running a business with being out in the field and doing this work? So you have her pretty much that balances the whole, like, what does she do?
Jamie, she does all my billing. She deals a lot with insurance billing, dealing with the insurance, dealing with the homeowners, all of our bills. I couldn't even tell you what my bills are, to be honest. I don't know when they're due. I just know that they're paid. Yeah. And she's great at making sure of that. And I'm grateful for it. She does all my paperwork, gets me, you know, keeps all my receipts and files, make sure all my tags are up to date, make sure our certification, all that, classes are ordered. She does all our ordering of, like, if I ever want to, you know, I've brought the guys out to, where were we? Asheville, North Carolina, to a tree expo where they were doing, where we were able to learn, like, crane rigging, a bunch of stuff, how to, safeties in climbing. Like, they had a bunch of new gear expos, you know, with classes along with it. So you're able to get certifications and things like that. So she does a lot of the behind the scene for me. Nobody really, they may know her voice, but nobody really knows who she is. Right. You know, she does all our advertisement, gets in contact with getting our truck wraps, things like that, paying the bill for that. I mean, that saves up a lot of time, lot and frustration, because it comes with computers and printing things and making sure the printer's connected to the computer. I'm a tree guy. You know, I hate technology.
Right, dude. Oh man, me too.
Except for unless it's new technology with the tree service. You know, then I'm like, oh, that's neat. You know, hand me a computer. I'm like, here, Jamie. So she pays the bills. She sends out the bills. I just go out. I do the bids. I put together the jobs, you know, as far as what needs where. And I do a lot of the cutting. I do probably about, I'd say 85% of our cutting. Just because I've got a guy that he's good at cutting as well. I've just been doing it with my equipment longer than him, so I know it a little bit quicker. I'm able to move my lift, you know, a little bit quicker than him, and you know, just certain things where I put everybody in their spot, you know, for productivity. If you're good here, well, that's your new job, you know. And if I got a guy that's able to run the skid steer and the crane, and I got one guy that can only run the crane, well, we know where everybody's going for the day.
Right.
And so I organize that, and I make sure that everybody's safe on the job, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what I care about. I want everybody to go home to their families and be able to show up for work tomorrow, because if you can't show up for work tomorrow because you're hurt, then I'm not going to be able to work, because I can't. I mean, I've done tree jobs, you know, most of it by myself, but I'm not a fan of it.
Right.
So I make sure everybody's safe, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I that's my main goal, is safety and getting the right equipment in there and doing the right cuts, you know. Just, I know that everybody's safe that way. I've got one guy that I've trained that, like I said, he's pretty good at cutting, and sometimes when it gets real hot outside, I'll switch him off. I'll do the harder ones and stick him up there for a little bit, give me a break, come down and do the easier cuts. So we're pretty versatile. Most of my guys are able to move around from equipment to every piece, you know. And if you're not, well, when we get to the shop, there's things that need done in every part. You know, the crane can be used sometimes, not really much, but you know, just bobcat work, you know, get in there and get used to it, man. You're not at the homeowner's house. You're out in the open at the shop.
Yeah.
If you tear something up, it's coming out of my pocket and not an insurance claim,
Right.
because I'll just go fix it. You know, I'm not going to get mad at you.
Right.
I mean, maybe a little upset, you know,
yeah.
but if it's an accident, it's an accident,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and you're at the shop. That's why I'd rather you learn out there.
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
I've even taken down, I don't know, probably half a dozen trees at my farm just to show the guys how this works, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they needed to come down at the same time.
Yeah.
But I wait on my bad trees at the farm to be able to
Show 'em.
teach them, you know, this is how it's done. And so they're not just standing on a customer's yard and get, you know, in the way of something when they shouldn't be. They already know a little bit of the process.
Right.
So I was teaching one guy how to cut, and he found out at the farm that that's not what he wanted to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he wasn't at a customer's house, because once he got up there, he was kind of scared to come down. He's like, man, this lift moves a lot. He's like, and every time I suck it in, it really gets to shaking. So it would have been kind of embarrassing having a guy that's feeling stuck in a lift.
Yeah.
You know? That's that's the easy part.
Yeah.
You know, make the cut.
He's like, he's still up there.
Yeah, so I mean, I give incentive. The more equipment they can run, the more, I mean, they're worth to me. So the better they get, you know, pay raises and things like that. So, you know, I definitely encourage them to make themselves more beneficiary to the business. With, I mean, you got to give incentives. So I always tell them, you want to go, you know, you want to go up in the bucket and start learning. Once I feel like you're good to go, we'll talk about this much of a raise, you know. But until then, while you're in learning, you know, we're going to learn this, you know. So, and some of them think, oh, I want to go up there and make that cutter's pay, you know, the guys that rake, you know, and then they get up there for about 20 seconds and they realize that they don't want nothing to do with that cutter's pay. Get down from here. Yeah, right. He's standing up there, he's holding on to the sides, you know.
Man.
I've seen a couple of guys think they always ask, I want to go up in that. There it is, you know. Get in there and buckle up. Because it's not for it's not for the easy, I'll tell you that. And that's one thing too, you know. Like I said, I started with climbers. I went out and bought a bucket truck. I always was the ground guy, you know, the raker, the pick it up guy, you know. And I went out and bought a bucket truck from a friend, and I pull it up to my house, and I get it in my front yard when I was living in town, and I get it all set up, and I lift up like 10 foot off the top of the truck, you know. It's a bucket truck. And I grab the side, and I'm like, I'm scared of roller coasters and heights. What did I just spend all my savings on? So, you know, at that first purchase, like I said, I'm not good with, you know, I got a chunk of change and I really want this piece of equipment. I just go for it, you know, and then it's time to make money.
Yeah.
It's time to really get that money back for it. So I got off the ground like 10, 15 foot. I was like, I'm scared of heights. Why'd I buy this? I should have just kept the climber. So that was, you know, the first couple months back, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago. I don't even remember. But yeah, just trying to overcome the fear of heights. Now I've got a lift that's 83 foot in the sky and I feel like a bird, you know.
Oh, man.
I love it now.
You're really rocking back and forth like
that. Yeah, it's different. You're up above the trees, you know. You've seen the videos.
Oh, yeah.
It's up there. And I love that thing. It's more safe than climbing, you know. I feel like it's way more safe than climbing. I'm able to get in different areas, take smaller pieces out on the tips where climbers can't get to.
Yeah.
And it pretty much gets to anywhere, you know, so.
All right, man. We're gonna get this last question going on, but before I start this question, I want to appreciate you coming out here.
No, I
taking
appreciate
time
it.
out.
This is a first for me.
Yeah, man.
So.
Absolutely. I do. I know you're busy. I know you're doing your thing out there. I appreciate you coming out today
I
and
definitely
doing this for
appreciate
sure.
you guys inviting me onto this. This was neat.
Yeah.
Definitely a first. So.
I hope the people out there here know what you're doing, man. It's really important, you know.
Yeah.
But what is your future goals for your? What's the whole goal for your business? Future plans?
My goal for my business is to leave as much equipment behind for my kids to be able to either one, hopefully pick up the trade, which we all know you don't always want to do what your parents did.
Yeah, exactly.
Or two, there'll be enough equipment where they can sell it, chunk it out, and go do what they want.
Yeah,
you
true.
know,
Right.
So
Right.
I just want to live decent while I'm here. I don't really care for working for somebody, so
I never did either.
That's where, you know, I can do my own hours, my own time, at my pace. I don't have somebody down my throat. So this is my job for life. I love doing what I do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's not really a job if you're having fun. You love it.
No, it's
you know
not. I go out and play every day.
See, look, and this is what I wish my kids would see this right now, because I tell them all the time, dude, when you work for the people, you're miserable. You're miserable because you can't get off when you want to get off. You know what I'm saying? You can't take that extra day. Something happens and you're sick, you can't just they'll fire you. And that's the thing. I tell people, like, when you work for other people, you're miserable. But when you work for yourself and you make your own rules up, you're not miserable. You're tense. You know what I'm saying? You're
definitely
out there
don't have much
trying to get
time.
jobs done. Yeah, you're trying to. Yeah, exactly. You're trying to get the shit done. There's a whole
you're on your
expectations.
own throat.
Yeah, exactly. So it's better to be on your own throat than to have somebody else on your throat, because again, that's what makes you more miserable. Then you're angry at home. You're angry at everything. You don't want to go to work. You know.
That's what makes you stride harder.
Yeah.
You know, when you're on yourself, then
you
know.
Yeah, you can be. Honestly, I'm more proud of myself because I have myself to prove. You know, I don't go to a job and say, well, they're only paying me this much amount an hour. Fuck them, I'm just gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I do. I'm like, I'm charging this much. I'm like, I got this guy over here who's charging really close to what I'm charging, but more. You know, and he's a fucking phenomenal artist. I got to get in there and do what I got to do. You know.
Yeah. Yep. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. I just. I don't know. I just want to be able to not work for somebody and live decently.
And hopefully pass down to your kids the same thing, or somebody that, you know.
I'm hoping, if anything, they'll have enough to start up their business without having to go through the struggle that I went through, you know, with whatever they want to go through in life. If it be college and go be a doctor or whatever they want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Which that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I ain't gotta worry about them going cutting a tree down, you know? And they could take care of my old ass when I get that time.
Right, no shit.
So that wouldn't be too bad. But at the same time, I mean, it'd be a little upsetting, you know, just to watch it all sell. But as long as they're able to do something for their families, I feel like by the time I'm at the age of retiring, I'll be all right, you know.
Yeah.
That's why I bust my ass so hard and it's grind, you know, because we only live once. You're only young once. This back is only gonna last so
Right,
long.
dude. Well, that's the first thing that goes out too.
Yeah,
Shit.
so I feel it.
Yeah, dude, that's the first thing that goes out. I had back pain in fucking goddamn early 30s.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, bad.
Shit.
It's
I'm lifting all those transmissions and all those rear ends and shit.
Oh,
you know, out there in the
man,
junkyard and fucking moving around, scrapping and washers and dryers and cars and all kinds of crap, dude.
See, that's the thing. Is being in that bucket all day or in that Bobcat, it's the bending. So that bucket hits you right at waist. So when you're leaning back making a cut, or leaning over the bucket making a cut, it's just like it's nonstop. Yeah. End goal is just really leave an empire for my children. Make sure that there's a generational wealth. That's the goal. There's not. I wouldn't say it'd be to be the number one sales tree person or anything. Just leave something behind for the kids. I've pretty much made a name for myself now.
It's very responsible of you.
So,
I see a lot of people that, and I'm one of those people for now. Because of the fact that you just live day by day, and I don't realize that if something happens to me, that's a burden to my family if I have nothing to give. What I'm saying, we're supposed to raise our children and pass them on to something to help them grow into it. You know what I'm saying? To try to you still want them to go through the hardships and still want to kind of learn life, but you want to kind of ease in it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You want to ease it into them a little bit.
That's one thing that makes me stride hard for these boys is being raised wasn't bad, but it wasn't as spoiled as these boys.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you that right now.
Man, it's like, thanks, Mom and Dad. Now I got to fucking make these kids.
They all got new bikes. Back then, I was bringing 2 bikes home from the junkyard making one,
Yeah, I made so many bikes, dude, that way. I had a Dyno GT, fucking Redline, all of it together. You know what I mean? It was cool back then.
Yeah. So, I just... some of the struggles.
Yeah.
I don't want them to have to experience because, it's just a waste of time. I feel like and they could be focusing on their surroundings. Yeah. The more you surround yourself with success, the more better you'll be off.
Damn right.
So that's
show me your 5 friends, and I'll show you your future.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So that's why I want to make sure that they hopefully make right decisions and choose the right friends.
Right.
So. If I show them the wrong ways of life and not working and, just not doing anything, then they're not going to be much. So,
no.
Which he can already run the mini skid steer. And,
oh, shoot. Start him off early.
Yeah. So.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah. No, thank you.
No
I appreciate it. It's been fun being here. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, that's the end of our show. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.